3 weeks in a row, Oda? Like, what are you trying to do, Oda? You trying to give me a heart attack 3 weeks in a row? You bringing this fucking godlike shit? Like, Oda. I love you, man. Oda. So now all of Doflamingo's antics, everything that he's done up till now is now all making sense. The shenanigans, the craziness, the violence, the anger, everything that he's done all makes sense now. Now that we got his past and we found out what happened to him when he was younger, everything is starting to come together. If you notice, Oda is trying to avoid doing full-on flashbacks, and I think maybe that has a part to do with the rankings, because flashback chapters, for some reason, just people don't like flashbacks, regardless if it's new material, insightful material. They always go down the rankings with manga. I mean, take it from Manga. It just went from a flashback arc that the mangaka literally had to rush through it just to get to the current timeline because people don't like flashbacks. So getting Doflamingo's flashback, it was only like, what, a page or two? And to be honest, I wouldn't have minded a full-on chapter getting his flashback of his life. But 1 page, 1.5 pages, whatever you want to call it, it was good enough in a sense, because Don went through some shit in his day. For starters, the Sabo versus Fujitora fight is over. I really wish we would have just got a full-on display of it. We kind of just flashed back here and there. And there was really no winner in the end. It was all basically settled on Fujitora basically saying, you know what, this isn't the fight that I need to be fighting right now. I want to bet on what I think is right. And that kind of shows the difference between all the other admirals that we've seen thus far and Fujitora, because even if they had their own idea of what they felt was justice, they never really went with it. And if they did, they really tried to do it on a sneak tip and never really stood by it. Like, for example, Akainu, first of all, he was just the one that he didn't give a fuck. He felt exactly how, things needed to be done, whether it's murder, kill, death, whatever. Akainu was the worst of them. Kizaru, he's a fucking troll. He's a fucking troll and a half. So, yeah, I don't even know about that guy. And then Aokiji, when he actually did try to do things like, he's like the closest I've seen of the admirals to Fujitora in a sense with having his way of justice. And that's probably why he left the Marines, because he was just like, I can't take it anymore. All the things that he'd seen, probably Akainu doing all sorts of fucked up things. That's probably why he challenged Akainu back in the day. And the one thing that he did that reminded me of, like, what Fujitora is like in this chapter was when he let Robin go. When he let Robin, free or whatever, and he put the ice path or whatever for her, that kind of shows that Aokiji was more like him, except he never really stood for what he believes in. And I wouldn't be surprised if word gets out what Fujitora is doing in this chapter. Maybe Fujitora could be bye-bye out of the Marines and one less admiral yet again. But getting a little bit more about Sabo on this one, you could definitely see that he probably really regrets not being able to save Ace, because he's like, my brother was in trouble. I don't give a fuck what people wanted me to do or what it is. I went and I did what I had to do. And if it means, dragging a war, then so be it. And Koala's like, what, you're going to bring the whole Revolutionary Army into this? So you could definitely see that there's a certain edge of what Sabo's power can do with being second in command. It's like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to bring the Revolutionary Army into this shit. But that also shows that Fujitora trusts with Sabo and actually trusts Luffy as well, because we see a little bit later on in the chapter that he basically says, yeah, I'm going to bet on this pirate guy. I'm going to bet on Luffy to do things. So, again, Fujitora, very similar to Aokiji, and overall has his own sense of justice. We're seeing little bits of foreshadowing of it in the past, and now basically it was all coming to. He is like a decent person. And then we cut back to that Luffy and Law versus Doflamingo and Treble. And you could definitely see that Law had quite a past with them, because Treble was basically saying, yo, don't you remember I used to take care of you a lot? What are you doing? So you can definitely see that Law was with them for at least a decent bit of time, and he probably formed some bonds, but we still don't understand what it was that made him leave them. And I hope that Law's cuts that were fatal, if basically they don't get healed up or whatever in a certain amount of time, they stay like that, and Treble ends up getting fucked over. Maybe we get a death in Treble or something like that, because that would be sick. But what I'm really surprised is Red Hawk seemingly didn't do shit to Doflamingo, so that makes me think like, yo, if Doflamingo can take a direct hit from Red Hawk and he seemingly is alright, oh my gosh, like how much of a beast is this dude if he could take that full force? I'm glad that it was set up this way and not just Luffy versus Doflamingo one-on-one, because I think it would have been just outrageous. I mean, look, one Red Hawk didn't do jack shit to him direct, and Luffy and Law together makes a lot more sense against Doflamingo. Now, going back to Doflamingo's past, basically, in a sense, if you want me to, sum it up, he was a rich kid, had all this power, lived a certain lifestyle. At the age of 8, his father was like, we're going to live like normal people. We're giving up the power. And that's changing a kid's lifestyle radically. At the age of 8, if you're used to and you're accustomed to a certain lifestyle of being rich, of doing these things, regardless if they're horrible or not, you have that certain mind state. Is like, Where's my slaves? What's going on? How are these common filth talking to me like that? And he had a huge reality check. But I think, honestly, the thing that pushed him over the edge, and there's probably more to it that happened, but again, probably Oda just doesn't want to do these long flashbacks anymore, like, you know, 2 chapters or 3 chapters straight because of the rankings and people just bitching that they don't want to see full-on flashbacks. But the thing that pushed him over the edge definitely was his mother's death. And he feels as though it's because father brought us into this scum and this common world. When we were in the rich world, none of that shit happened. So you could definitely see that he blames his father, like, you fucked my life up. I was living the good life and you did me wrong. And I guess to a certain degree, I can relate to that, except I've had better experiences, and I know I'm kind of bringing like my life into this, but it just really gives me an idea of where this character's mindset at and the characterization of him overall. But the difference with Doflamingo was when I was young, I didn't have like, you know, money like that. When I got a little bit older, my family got a lot of money and I was all good. And then kind of like, you know, I separated myself from that lifestyle. So then again, I wasn't like, you know, rich like that or whatever, but I had the previous dealings of not being wealthy and stuff like that. So for me, it was just like, okay, back to, you know, the same old, same old. But with this kid, at the age of 8, his life was turned upside down. And he went from, you know, royal palace, Sir Doflamingo, to the slums. So for him, it was just like, oh my fucking God. And then my mother died. The thing that caught me the most was he cut off his fucking father's head and brought it as like, please let me be a celestial dragon again. I was like, this is one fucked up dude. And with them rejecting him, that's basically what made him say, okay, I can't be rich anymore. I can't be back what I used to be. I'm gonna fuck your life up. Like, I get it. It all makes sense why he would leave that lifestyle. It wasn't that he left it. It was basically he was forced out of it. And he's like, if I can't have that lifestyle, I'm going to be a pirate and I'm going to fuck the world up. I'm going to destroy everything. I don't care. Doflamingo, nut job, savage, crazy, finding out finally his past. Basically, in a sense, some people would probably argue, so he's basically like a spoiled brat that didn't get what he wants. But it's far more than that. He lost his mother to this lifestyle. He looks at this lifestyle as going literally from heaven to hell. So for him, this is just disgusting and he was done wrong. And even when he tried to go back to that, they didn't let him. So it's like, I'm going to destroy everything. And with all that being said, another great chapter of One Piece this week, giving it a 9 out of 10. I really wish we would have got full disclosure of the backstory and a lot of more of the troubles that Doflamingo went through. Maybe we will next chapter, who knows? But as a whole, it's just like, God damn, Doflamingo went through some shit and he's not playing no games. To him, he went through hell and back, so none of these people's lives matter to him. Luffy, in his eyes, what did you go through? You don't understand the bullshit that I went through, so yeah. His character makes sense now. But let me know what you guys think. First of all, what is your take on Doflamingo's backstory? What happened to him when he was younger? Going from rich to poor? How the Celestial Dragons didn't accept him back? Do you feel as though he's justified in his hatred of the world and wanting to make the world burn? Or do you feel as though he's kind of like just a spoiled fuck that just wants, you know, to be rich again or something? I mean, he already has that. He already has basically what he wanted. Since he's a king, he has that royal status, he's living the good life, but he still doesn't care. So in a sense, it's not that he's spoiled. It's not, you know, he has that life again. It's that you did me wrong, so I'm going to do you wrong, but in the worst way possible. And your overall thoughts of the chapter, man. The past 3 chapters of One Piece, Oda is back on fire and back on track to making that shit that we all love and crave of One Piece. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, if you could do so as well, that would be awesome. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.